You know, when I first wrote this book, Heaven on My Mind, which is one of my favorite books, you know, most people, when they read this book, say, I feel like I've visited with my loved ones on the other side. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. People will write me a note or something and say, thank you for writing this book because I feel like I've sat at the table and talked to my mother, my father, or my spouse, or my child, someone that is already in heaven. And I feel like I can visualize what life looks like in heaven after reading this book. You know, this book is different because it's not just the theology of heaven, it's really talking about the practicality of what life is going to look like in heaven. So I almost called this by a different name though. Instead of Heaven on My Mind, I almost called it Well Done Factor, the Well Done Factor. And I'll tell you why. I talk about this in chapter 16, but my whole life is being lived so that I can hear those two words, well done. You know, I believe that everybody has a purpose. I believe that I've been created for a reason. I believe God knew me in the matrix of my mother, as he said to Isaiah and Jeremiah, I knew you in the womb. I believe what the psalmist David wrote, that there were days fashioned for me when yet none of them existed, and God wrote them in his book. So I believe that there was a book of life written about my life before I was ever born. And my job is to pursue that and find what that looks like. Find my gifts, find my talents, and find my courage. Just mostly to be me. I think sometimes finding the will of God is more about finding yourself than finding instructions. Sometimes finding the will of God to some people is, well, God, tell me what to do with my life. Well, I think when you discover your gifts and your talents, you'll know what to do with your life. That'll just, you know, the Bible says it gives you the desires of your heart. I think that your natural propensities are those things you're going to want to do. You know, if you're good at photography, you're going to want to take pictures. If you're good at speaking, you're going to want to teach or speak publicly. If you have music in you, you're going to want to sing. You don't need God to tell you you need to sing. If you have music in you, you're supposed to sing. So I think hearing God say, well done, is about being a good person and living out your life to its fullest. I went to one of my medical doctors one time for my annual physical, and he was saying, wow, you look a little tired. I was telling him my schedule, and he said something to me I'll never forget. He said, well, Bryan, your problem is you're a human doing, not a human being. And I said, what? He said, you just need to be good at you, not try to do so many things to prove that you're good at being you. And I didn't understand fully what he meant at first, but through the years I've thought about that. And I thought the way I can glorify God the most is by being the best version of me that I can be. Not try to be somebody else and not try to compete with everybody else. Let them do what they've been called to do, but I want to do what I'm called to do. And I think being the best version of you is your best chance of hearing those words, well done, thou good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a few things, he says. Now you're going to be a ruler over many things. Enter into the joys of the Lord. So if you want to hear God say, well done, it's not going to be for the things you did. It's going to be from the person you are. So be the best version of you, and you'll please him the most. That's why he created you. God bless.